Some people might have a little rock and roll pneumonia.
You wanted the best, you got the best from my home studio on Long Island, New York. Welcome to Ian Scotto Rocks. I am your host, Ian Scotto, and we're going ham on the Kiss videos this week because, yeah, there's some stuff to discuss that's newsworthy. This is not really newsworthy. This is a topic that has kind of resurfaced, and I noticed them speaking about it on a recent episode of Three Sides of the Coin. Being a Kiss fanatic myself, I regularly check out all that stuff, and it resonates with me. And yeah, this topic has reemerged of why in the 80s did Kiss play so fast? They sounded like they were shot out of a cannon. And I think the reason that this discussion is happening again is, and I actually know the reason, is because they recently released this new Off The Soundboard from San Antonio, Texas. The first ever Off The Soundboard from the Asylum era, the first with Bruce Kulick on guitar. And a lot of people are actually taking issue with it. They're just like, wow, this sounds so fast. Why aren't the songs played at their usual tempo? People taking shots at Eric Carr's drumming skills. And I'm going to give you my take on it. So, for one, I like this era of Kiss. I do like the live performance, but yeah, I understand what the complaint is. And it wasn't this era just with Bruce Kulick. If you listen to the Off The Soundboard from Poughkeepsie, you had the same thing with the tempo going super fast. And this pretty much continued up until Eric Singer coming into the band. But this was really like the no makeup era of Eric Carr. When Eric Carr was in the makeup, they were pretty much playing at the same tempo. It sounded like classic Kiss. And then I think probably after Lick It Up era, so we're talking like Animalize era, Asylum era, the classic songs were just played at this really, really hyper speed pace. Now, why is it? I was really surprised, and I don't agree with Mark Cicchini's comments on Three Sides of the Coin, and he's pretty much the reason I listen to that podcast, to be honest. I think he offers the most insight of those guys, and he's truly a fanatic and knows his stuff. And the fact that he's a drummer, he puts some of the blame, or all of the blame, it always seems like, on Eric Carr. And he says it's the drummer's job to keep the tempo, and that's what the drummer needs to do. And if he's playing at this fast tempo, it screws things up for the rest of the band. I do not buy into that argument at the very least. You cannot tell me that Eric Carr, who was such a skilled drummer in the studio, somehow was not able to keep time. I don't believe that for a second. I think this goes into something I spoke about in my Kiss rankings video of Kiss trying to change with the times. I think Kiss were a band at that point who were guys in their 30s at the time of Asylum competing with bands in their 20s, bands like Motley Crue, bands like Bon Jovi. And I think they needed to show that, yeah, they still had it. And I guess to them it meant, yeah, we are going to do these crazy tapping solos that you hear on Asylum, similar to what Eddie Van Halen was doing. And we're also going to play super fast to show you that we still have it and we still have all this energy when we go out on stage. But yeah, it doesn't sound like the classic live performances of Kiss that you hear on Alive 1 and 2. I always believe, and I feel like we always know, that Gene and Paul have ran the show. They run the show for Kiss. And I think that was what they instructed Eric Carr to do. I think that they said, in order to keep up with the times, yeah, we're going to have a shredder like Mark St. John playing fast, and we're going to play faster. And I think that was what they told him to do. I don't believe for a second Eric Carr was unable to keep time. That just is a ridiculous argument to me. I think they just changed things. And a lot of people aren't able to listen to those live performances because of it. I don't feel that way. Look, my favorite Kiss drummer is Eric Singer. And when they brought on Eric Singer, they did go back to the classic Kiss sound in terms of live performances, and I think even improved upon that because he's so phenomenal at what he does. But I think at that time, yeah, you can say they sort of lost their way and were changing things and experimenting with things. And that's always been my take for why the tempos are so fast. Now, listening to the guys on Three Sides of the Coin talk about this, I don't get their, I don't want to say hate, but I guess their distaste for this latest Off the Soundboard. Like all of those guys were saying, or two of them were saying, yeah, I bought it on CD, which was crazy because you had to buy it imported from Japan on CD for like $50. I'm not paying $50 for an Off the Soundboard. When they did do a digital download, because I don't stream, I do like to support the artist, and I do like to have it on my iPod. I do put songs on an iPod to catalog and listen to it at the gym. Yeah, I bought it for like $10 on iTunes, and it's a performance that I'll regularly check out, and it's something different. Those guys were saying, yeah, I'm glad that I bought it, but I'm never going to listen to it again. And to me, it's like, well, then why did you pay $50 for a CD just to have in your collection if you're never, ever going to even check it out? I don't really see the point of that. I guess maybe it's just the hardcore collector mentality. And the thing that I especially don't get from Mark Cicchini, for people who listen to Three Sides of the Coin, he's now like working as a part of the Kiss camp and met with those guys in Vegas. And he seemed at first like super excited that there was a new Bruce Kulick Off the Soundboard. And he's like, I'm so happy that the Bruce era is being represented. And then the album comes out and he's like, yeah, it's so fast. The tempo is ridiculous. And the stage raps are crazy with Paul cursing so much. I can't listen to it. And it's like, well, then I guess if you were able to advise them in some way, then why were you on board with them doing a Bruce Kulick Off the Soundboard from that particular era? Why not say that they should do something later? I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not a shot at him or the guys, because like I said, I like the show, I listen to it, but I just don't get it. If you're not into that live era, then why even bother buying an Off the Soundboard or advising them to put out that Off the Soundboard? Because I do get the feeling when he was there in Vegas that he did say, yeah, that would be a good idea to put that out. And he seemed excited about them putting it out until they actually put it out. Anyway, that's my theory on why they were going fast. I always put it on Gene and Paul. There's no way that night after night after night, he just played it that quick of a tempo and no one picked up on it and said to him, hey, could you play the songs at the classic tempo? Why are we speeding that up? And I don't believe that Eric Carr would have been unable to do that. He was always just a hired gun, and he was great at what he did. He was great on those albums, and he was a great live drummer as well. And I think he did what he was instructed to do. And with that out Off the Soundboard, I especially love hearing some of those songs that you're never going to hear again live and that they never played again live. So that's why I kind of celebrate all those Off the Soundboards and all these different eras of Kiss, because Kiss are not a band like many other bands where for 20 years you heard the exact same set list again and again and again. Maybe in recent years, but during that no makeup era, yeah, if they were touring for Animalize, you're going to hear some Animalize songs that they would never play in the years that followed. And if you wanted to hear something from the Asylum era, you're going to get stuff from that era that they never played in the years following that. I would love to see some more Off the Soundboards. Maybe like, you know what I'd like to see? From the Dynasty Tour, the Madison Square Garden shows. Those would be cool Off the Soundboards if they still have access to that. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the Eric Carr no makeup era and those live shows? Do you think they just sounded ridiculous playing that fast? I would love to play some of it for you here and just compare what they sounded like playing Love Gun with Peter Criss and then playing Love Gun with Eric Carr. The problem is now with YouTube, all that stuff gets demonetized. Even if it's not a show from the Off the Soundboard and I just pick a random show on YouTube, it picks up on the melody, the AI detects it, and then I can't monetize the video. And I mean, look, I'm hopefully looking to at least break even here on YouTube. So once again, just let me know your feelings on this. I celebrate all eras of Kiss, except maybe the very late eras of Kiss where Paul Stanley's voice was just completely shot on those last two albums. And then we had the eras, or the latest era of the farewell end of the road tour where Paul Stanley is singing to a track. And somehow those guys from Three Sides of the Coin never seem to complain about that, which to me is the biggest era to complain about. They just seem to be happy to see them on stage. But yeah, it was embarrassing watching them sing to a track and play to track. And I have no interest in getting an Off the Soundboard of those eras. But if it's a completely live Kiss show where Paul is still able to sing, I'll probably buy it and listen to it many times and not just listen to it once and then chuck it. Yeah, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like the video. All of that stuff greatly helps me. And if you want to pick up some merch It helps us out here on the channel, myself, my video editor. Link to that is in the description. Ian Scotto Rocks t-shirt on beautiful next level apparel clothing, and the Ian Scotto Rocks mug. If you're feeling super generous and you want to send us a super thanks, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm certainly not going to complain if you want to help out the show in a big way. And check out this video right here if you want to see some more great Kiss content that we've done here on the channel on Ian Scotto Rocks.